And now we're live. All right.
Yay!
Oh man, podcasts. Good times. Um. All right. I think I am ready to. Actually, I have a party to go to tonight, so I can only record for about 2 hours, which should be fine. I don't think we have a poop ton to talk about. So. All right. Are you guys ready to kick this thing off? I shared.
Uh,
I shared show notes, right?
Probably.
Okay.
I don't have them open.
You shared it a while back, so
Okay.
I was able to open it up. It was empty like 2, 3 days ago.
Yeah, it's should be a little more full now.
Yeah.
What were we gonna ask me some?
Oh, I was just trying to get the Twitch chat out before we started.
Oh, okay.
And I think, yep, I'm there, so I'm good.
All right. Now somebody's deciding to run some large-sounding machine out back. Okay.
Naturally.
Yeah. All right. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of Picking Up the Pixels. I'm your host, Boston. Going around the room, we got Musum.
Hey.
And we have Mina.
Hi.
And without further ado, Mina says she has a lot of games to talk about, so let's get right into it with Musum. What have you been playing? Haha, I got
It
you.
was almost like a faint right. Let's see. I played a whole bunch of Rogue Legacy.
Oh, yeah. I played a lot of Rogue Legacy.
Well, and like everyone was talking about playing it on Vita, and I've been broke lately, so I just started playing my PC copy again.
There you go. It's got all the same stuff.
I feel like I'm level like 60 or 80 or something in that game, and I'm still only on the second boss.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm enjoying it. I like that they have kind of alternate bosses you can go and try and fight after you beat them.
Yeah, those super tough, really impossible bosses.
But theoretically, you can try them as many times as you want without restarting the level.
I'm sure some human has finished those bosses.
Yeah.
I don't know who, though.
I got the first boss, like, I think, down to 75% health.
Oh, nice. It's further than I made it.
But I don't know. I still really like that game. I wish I could find more than 3 swords. I'm always trying to weigh on whether I want to use any vampire equipment or not, and whether it's worth it.
Yeah, I never really got into the vampire equipment because it seemed like it was such a heavy trade-off for not really a huge benefit.
Yeah. Like, I've been using the vampire cape, but everything else I haven't been doing, just so I can have a little health absorption. So far, I think the Spellblade is my favorite class.
Yeah, that one's pretty fun.
I already forgot what it did, because it's been like a week since I played it.
I think it's really strong with magic, I think.
Is that it?
It has that crazy invisible sword.
Maybe they generate
like
magic every time you hit someone.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
I can't remember. I almost had that second boss with a Spellblade, and then like the next 2 or 3 times I tried, it kept not giving me a Spellblade, and then I did that thing where I got so used to trying over and over again that I forgot to do the architect guy to make him freeze the level.
Yeah, and you go in and you're like, oh no, why?
Pretty much, but yeah, I really like that game. I think oddly, I think if you like Dark Souls or anything like that, you should probably pick up Rogue Legacy. And I also think it'd be a perfect fit for Vita. I'm just broke.
Yeah, I heard it's really great on Vita. They said apparently they did a lot of work to try to optimize the controls on there. So apparently it works really well. I haven't tried it.
Hmm. So I played some more Divinity Original Sin. I still have absolutely no idea what I'm doing in that game. Like, it's gotten to the point where I feel like I've exhausted everything I can do, and I'm stuck between a bunch of orcs that I can't beat because there's too many of them, and like I almost beat them one time because it's basically you can approach from one angle where there's a pool of water, and you get like 5 or 6 of them coming at you. And then they got like a mage and a crossbow guy and a couple grunts, but I can use the water guy to just continually shoot electricity into the pool and keep them in place while my mage and everyone else just cast spells at him. And if anyone gets too close, the the wonderfully crazy fighter chick will, take him out. But after 30 minutes of doing that, like, one of them got close enough to me, and then I lost. So it really kind of diminished my desire to keep trying with those characters. So I think I just need to go online and read a bunch about the game and educate myself. Because I don't think.
Are you at that point where most people are the first time like they play through, where they get about 8 hours in and they're like, "Oh, this is how I have to start the whole game over."
Well, not quite, because if I started the game over, I still wouldn't necessarily know what would be a good party.
Okay.
Like a lot of my issues, like there are certain, like it seems almost I can't seem to find any spells that I don't already have. Is one of my problems. My other problem is just trying to figure out how to successfully use my party, and figure out where to go where they won't die. Like, I've been told you're supposed to go to the west first, but I die if I go to the west. If I go to the north, I have a fighting chance. So it's very confusing in that fashion. But
I actually started Divinity this past month, and I really quickly understood what you guys were talking about at the beginning, because it doesn't really pull any punches. Like, it's not going to be mean about it, but it also kind of will not. It gives you a really good tutorial, but as soon as the tutorial's over, it's like, all right, you're going to fight a boss. So, hope you learned all of that. Which I kind of liked. I mean, it felt very much like an old school, like a Fallout 1, Fallout 2 era, where it's sort of like, all right, we gave you a little bit, but you're trial by fire now.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems good. I just need the spare time and inclination to do the research.
Yeah.
It's one of those games that should have come with an instruction book that's 100 pages long that I should have read through.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Also, of course, I played more Warframe. They introduced update 14.5 where they redid the UI for the mod system. So now basically as you're modding a weapon, they have a stat listing to the left, and it actually tells you what type of damage your weapon's currently outputting. Because
nice.
one of the background systems in Warframe is that if you combine certain elements like electricity and cold, for instance, it will produce a damage type known as magnetic.
Oh, okay.
And that's especially effective against one of the enemy types. So now you have a clue of whether you're doing that damage and how much of it you're doing.
Well, that seems rather helpful.
Yeah. Trying to think. They announced a couple weeks ago that they were going to introduce something called the Arcwing into Warframe on Update 15, which I'm predicting will come in about a month. The Arcwing basically is, you're in a level, your ship can't pick you up, so then it gives you like wings to fly around in space and shoot stuff.
Well, that sounds okay.
It looks awesome. In one of the chat things, one of the people asked or commented that they felt it gave it one of the crowd commented that they felt it gave them a Zone of Enders feel, and
Ooh.
The devs said, like, they all cheered at the same time, because I guess that's what they want. We'll know when we feel the controls, but
yeah,
it looks pretty freaking sweet. And last but not least, I played some Pillars of Eternity beta. They did encourage us to talk and post and do videos on that, and I gave them way too much money. So I don't know if you heard, this game is basically Baldur's Gate.
Oh, nice.
This is incredibly old school, and I apologize for my allergies. They're just going to go this whole time, evidently. So the beta is about as non-instructional as can be, and seeing how this game seeks to reinvent a lot of well-worn D&D Tolkien-esque systems, it gets really confusing really fast. Because you have your health bar, and then you have your stamina bar. And everything you do comes from your stamina bar, and all the damage you take at first goes to your stamina bar.
Hmm.
And if you lose your stamina bar, your character passes out. So
Okay.
that gives them a death without actually dying. So, like, I probably have tried new characters on this 3 times. So the character creator seems pretty good. The character portraits are good. The races, you get your typical, like, human, elf, dwarf, and then it goes off into some oddities that I don't remember. But the last option is called godlike.
Okay.
And godlikes are evidently like a physical manifestation or aspect of one of the gods in the world. And they have like a death one, a fire one, a moon one, and a nature one. And each godlike has like some effect they do. Like the fire one has a chance to catch people he hits on fire. The moon one has an aura that heals stamina faster. Stuff like that. So in doing the races, I discovered why would anyone not pick a godlike every single time?
Yeah. It sounds
Like-
like Final Fantasy Legend 2 for the Game Boy, where it's like, oh, all these look cool, or I could be a robot. That sounds awesome.
Pretty much. And on top of that, your head is glowy and has like some crazy natural protrusion. Like the death god is like these 2 black horn things that cover the eyes and go up, and the fire god's head, of course, is on fire, and the moon god's just kind of blue and sparkly. But it's yeah. So when you get into the game, the like the old Baldur's Gate games, they would always have the party. I can't think of the word for it now, but like, you'll get 6 members and you'll click on a space and they'll all have a formation. That's the word I'm looking for. This one basically just lets you make up whatever formations you want to do. Like, you don't choose from some predetermined layout. You click a button and then you get this giant expanse with a bunch of boxes and your 5 or so characters in it. And you can move them wherever you want in the box. So
That's kind of nice.
I thought so. I haven't really figured out how to make it work well, but the game itself is freaking gorgeous. It is hand drawn. It's just wonderful looking. If nothing else, this game is going to look great and it's going to sound great because the music's really good too. It gets that perfect kind of medieval vibe without being generic.
Yeah.
Let me think. What did I actually do in the game? When I got in the game, of course, it didn't explain anything to me. I'm just standing by a bridge, and there's some people over here and a church up there. So I go and talk to the people, and they're like, "Oh, there's this." And by the way, for anyone worried about spoilers or something like that, Obsidian has gone on and said that nothing in the game pertains to the main story whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
And everything in the beta is. It's basically it was made to be a beta.
Oh, okay. So it's just like a side story almost.
Yeah, like my guess is they took a bunch of side quests and just pasted them together.
Yeah.
So, let me think. Where was I? Oh yeah. So I go and talk to the people, and they're looking for some. I forgot the creature's name. I don't know. Short race that is. I don't remember the name of. Because they're saying that they slaughtered all these children and that they're hiding in this town. So I go into this town and then, of course, immediately get another side quest of this guy's daughter's missing and I should go look for her. And like the conversation system, it's kind of neat because a lot of it is stat dependent. A lot of it depends on your intelligence, your perception. And there's a skill called lore that also affects it. And they also have different response types. And you can get a reputation for having a certain response type, which will evidently enable other choices too.
Oh, jeez.
The unfortunate part is, like, I really suck at the combat. Like, I just got slaughtered every time. Like, I take that back. The first time I went back and I talked to the thief in the inn, and she said she didn't kill all those people and that they were just after her because of whatever, some plot. So I go back over and tell the guy, and he goes, "Well, I get to kill you now." And then the first time I fought him, I just slaughtered him, just walked right over his party. So I was feeling pretty good about myself, and I heard there was an ogre that was hassling the town, so I thought I would walk over there, and I get to this forest, and the first thing that happens is 3 giant spiders and some smaller creatures, we'll just pretend they're squirrels or something dumb like that, approached me, and they just slaughter me.
I love
Like-
how RPGs do that, where it's like, oh, you just killed like this chubby 80-year-old innkeeper. Let's go to the forest and try and kill an ogre. That sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, like your first 2 side quests are ogre, baby dragon,
And like a chimera.
probably. So anyway, so I died then and discovered that the beta had no autosave.
Oh. Well then.
Oh.
I was like, well, it's a beta. I wasn't going to be able to keep my character anyway. So, like, the second time I went through, I tried the fire guy, and I decided I was just going to die every time I went into that stupid forest. So instead, I went the other way and went to some field place and found a dungeon. And in the dungeon, this giant stone head told me that I was supposed to go take 2 lefts, and there was something about brass. It was some poetic thing. And I thought, well, okay, I'll go do that. And I kill a spider along the way, and I'm like, okay, maybe I can handle this. And then
Doing
I
all
walk
right.
in, yeah, I walk in the room, and there are like 3 specters and 4 ghosts or something, and it's just eat
It was
me
like
alive.
a Silent Hill puzzle. It's actually backwards, and you needed to, because he mentioned brass, you needed to take 2 rights instead.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And don't pick up the object, and don't look at it, because you'll go crazy if you look at the object
Yeah,
too long.
exactly.
Yeah, so that was a thing. Then the last time I did the moon again, and like each time I've been trying a different class. Like I tried the Cypher, which is kind of a psychic mage, and I tried the Rogue, which I already had. You have a Rogue in your default party in the beta, so maybe not the best choice, and especially like they're not very good in combat. Not that I figured out how to use it, at least. And the third time I did, I don't remember what I did the third time. Maybe I just did a Cypher again, because I really like the idea of a Cypher, because you can make people fight for your side, or you can, like, it has one spell where you make one of your buddies, like, radiate energy, like you take their life force and then explode it on the enemies and then give it back to them. Which sounds really weird. It doesn't damage your guy. You basically just turn in one of your friendlies into a grenade for a moment. But anyway, I like a lot of what the game's slinging, but I think I'm just gonna have to wait to get the instruction book to figure out what the heck I'm doing. And it would also help to start at the beginning of the game, where I'm sure there's some sort of tutorial and explanations and idea of what would benefit me. But
Man,
anyway.
I just looked up because I could have sworn I backed this, when it was called Project Eternity on Kickstarter, and I'm like, man, I could have sworn I spent like a ton of money.
Did you?
I spent $100, and I was like, oh great, I should get the beta. No, you only get it if you spent more than $110.
Oh,
I'm like, oh god,
Boston.
really? $10 is stopping me from playing this thing? Come on, guys.
That's kind of a cruel cutoff.
Yeah, like $100 is a lot of money, guys. I don't know what I was thinking back like 2 years ago when I put that money towards that.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And what they did on Wasteland 2 is if you weren't in the beta, they would let you get in for like if you paid $10 more or something.
Oh,
So I don't know, if they haven't already offered something like that, you may just keep your eyes open for it.
yeah, I'll have to look. If I can, I haven't been able to tear myself away from The Sims 4 lately, so even if I had that, I'm not necessarily, I'd be like, oh, I could play that. Or I could check
Or-
up on my family. Maybe I'll do that for 2 minutes. Whoops, 3 hours are gone. That's why I haven't played more than an hour of Divinity.
Okay.
Whoops.
Well, that is all I've been playing.
All right, Mina, what about you?
Okay, I've played like 10 games and I've tried to trim the fat on this. So,
Okay.
let's start with the Vita. So, I played Sword Art Online Hollow Fragment, which came out a couple weeks back.
Okay.
And if you know what Sword Art Online is, it's an anime manga series.
I I actually watched that this last week.
Did you? Okay, did you watch like the first season or whatever, or maybe an
Yeah.
episode or two? Okay.
Yeah, I watched the whole
So,
first season. I really liked the first
oh,
half, and I
okay.
really
So
don't like the second half.
look, this is great. Okay, so here's how Sword Art Online Hollow Fragment works. All right. When you watch the anime and you reach the part where you fight, I guess what we will call the final boss of the first season part, right? That right there, pretend like you're in the middle of that fight and you pause it and you're like, okay, we're gonna make a game starting right here in the middle of this battle. So instead of the final boss of the episode that you're thinking of right there, like being like boom, end of the anime season 1, it goes right into something happens and it's like, okay, game picks up here. So it's
That's kinda
not
cool.
not canon. Yeah.
Okay.
Some pluses, it's very good on like being an interesting combat-y sort of game. I really like it's kind of like a loot-driven game. Now, the one thing that's really bothering me, and it bothers the internet and bothers all of us, is that the localization team, translation, whatever, they were very, very lazy. And I mean this in the, like, I'm playing this game and I'm like, come on, guys. Come on.
That's not
like,
even
you,
a sentence.
you know, you could have paid some intern English student, whatever, to just, proofread this and, just fix it up just a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, even just like somebody briefly glancing at this and fixing some spelling errors or some, it would make this game so much better, and I could recommend it to somebody. But like
Yeah.
as it is right now, unless you are like, if you're like way into the combat of games and you're just like, I just want to do loot driven stuff, I want to do combat, and I like Sword Art Online, I give it, go ahead, buy it, play it. If you're somebody who will be very, very annoyed by like spelling errors, grammatical errors, like
The use of the
things
English
not-
language.
the English language being like slapped around in front of your eyes, I tell you to run from this game and never purchase it unless it gets fixed.
They use Google Translate to do it.
It's bad. It's bad. I can't list any specific examples, but the beginning of the game, it seems okay. There's like a little, like, because here's what I had heard. I had heard from the people who had played the game, which was not the official version, is what they were told. It was just kind of like, a review copy. I had heard from them that the translation was not very good.
Mm-hmm.
But like they were like, that's just a review copy. This is probably the Chinese version, which had, for whatever reason, had Japanese dialogue but English dub, like text. So
Interesting.
but like there was no Chinese. Like they didn't have Chinese language. They didn't like nothing. It was just English written and Japanese spoken.
Weird.
So like they got like this really weird version that some people made separate PSN accounts to experience and were like, wow, this English is bad. But you know what? It wasn't meant for an English player.
Yeah.
So I was kind of forgiving and I was like, okay, I'm just going to play it. And at first I was like, there's something off on this translation here. And then as I got further in the game, I was like, okay, there's way too many. This is like somebody didn't even look.
Yeah.
And I was like kind of, I'm pretty forgiving, but yeah. So that's Sword Art Online. The other Vita game I played very recently, and I can't talk about the story because it's really, really good, Danganronpa 2.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I loved the first game, Danganronpa. I don't know how to pronounce it. Danganronpa. That's how
That
the game pronounces
Works
it.
for me.
Um, Rule number 1, you gotta treat this kind of like The Walking Dead. Do not get attached to any character.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, you just can't.
They
Like,
could go at any time.
the game will want you to get attached to them, and you will inevitably get attached, but try to just, like, be like, okay, I can't
Yeah, try to be
love
stone-hearted.
this character, because they will either A, become a murderer, or B, get murdered.
Right.
And on the very, very lucky chance that you happen to like one of the characters that makes it out of this alive, C, makes it out alive.
Yeah.
I can't, like, because of the way the game is, I can't really talk too much about it, so I guess I'll talk about the differences between the first one and this one.
Mm-hmm.
It still has the trial system. It still has the kind of the explorative, clicking around, point and click kind of adventure. They've added a couple new features, like you actually can roam around, walk around on the map, side scroller style.
Oh, nice.
And they have like this little pedometer thing where it's almost like a Tamagotchi pet that, like, yeah, you kind of take care of it, and it gets either, like, if you don't take care of it, it starts to fall into despair, and if you take care of it, it starts to get hearts. I don't understand what it is, but I am very concerned about it all the time. So whenever I'm roaming around on the map, I'm like checking the pen. I'm like, "Are you okay?
You okay, little buddy?"
Well, it got like 4 despair marks earlier, like early in the game, because I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't sure how much I had to observe it.
Yeah.
So, like, out of nowhere, I just suddenly had 4 despair, and I freaked out because I was like, "What if this affects something in the game?"
Yeah,
and I'm letting this.
What if I get a bad ending because my Tamagotchi died?
Right? So, like, I'm all concerned about my Tamagotchi. Like, I made it a point that every time I zone, I have to open up the Tamagotchi screen and look at it and be like, "Are you okay? Okay, back to doing whatever." So, that's my method of making sure that it's not upset. It still has the free time from the first game where you can go and talk to people and gain friendship and unlock skills and stuff.
Yeah.
They've done it a little differently this time. Whereas it's more like you don't actually unlock it. You can pay to unlock it after you've unlocked it. So there's a lot into this system. It's very confusing. Right now, when I look at the skill list, the way I've been purchasing skills is if the skill affects 2 or more different things in the trial system, I've been picking it. So, like, I've seen some things that's like, this helps you do blah and blah and blah. And I'm like, that's 3 things.
I gotta have that one.
that one's 3. This one's only 2. I gotta get the one with the 3.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's affecting, but I'm getting it.
I'd go with that too.
You see, like, right, because sometimes there's one that only affects 1, and then sometimes there's one that says, if you pick this, then you can't have this. And I'm like, definitely don't want that one. That one's eliminating something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's doing.
I'm going backwards here.
That's no step forward and backward. That's just like, that's nothing. So I don't know. So I've been picking those. The gotten more convoluted with more things going on. The rhythm game's gotten harder. I don't know. Tons of things being thrown at me. The tutorial and the trial system, I just basically been click, click, click. I don't care about your tutorial. I'll figure it out when I'm actually trying to do it.
Yeah.
I suggest that when you're doing the trials, you can save at any point in time. So, you know, when you feel like you're going to be entering a next stage, or maybe after you beat a stage of the trial, you should probably save.
Yeah.
That's my recommendation if you happen to be playing Danganronpa 2. Save. If I were to talk about the pluses of this game over the first one, is that when I go into the trial, like, before I would get into the trial, I'd be like, you know, I've already done the Detective Conan thing here. I've already figured out who done it. I know exactly what I'm going to have to throw at these guys, boom, 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 and I'll win the trial.
Mm-hmm.
The first trial I got to, I remember when you enter the little room, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, I got nothing.
I don't know anything.
No one. I'm like, it could be anybody. it could be anybody at this point. I'm like, I had kind of like this faith that I was like, I hope it's not this person and this person, but everybody else was basically insuspicious. You could have done it, and we all don't have a motive, so ain't nothing here. And so then the second trial happened, and I was thinking, the first trial, maybe like that was just kind of like, maybe I just didn't get in the groove of the game. I get to the second trial, I'm like, who did it this time?
Who are you?
Who is guilty of this? Because we all have a motive this time, and every single person has done something that it could be like, this kind of makes you look kind of guilty. So I'm on the third one now, and haven't yet gotten to the part where somebody's dead, but it's coming up. It's coming up.
You can feel it.
Yeah, I can feel it. I kind of understand how this game's throwing me the story where it's like, this happens, then this happens, then this thing happens, and then it's suddenly body. So I've reached the part where I'm just kind of like, I'm approaching the body. So
yeah,
we'll see. I recommend that game. If you're into visual novels, if you like kind of like the Phoenix Wright sort of games, if you are like mystery and you're willing to let characters die on you and deal with that fallout, like, this game's really great. And if you like Tamagotchi, because I've been taking care of my Tamagotchi in there.
Yeah, it's got everything.
It's got everything. What else could you need? So those were the games that I've been playing on my Vita. Moving on to a game that I've already beaten in the past, Earthbound.
Yay!
Oh my gosh, I love Earthbound. So, I know I played a little bit last month. I don't remember exactly where I cut off last month, but I know I didn't beat it. So, the thing that I did probably right after the podcast was I went to go play Earthbound, and I was at the part where you go to Winters, and from Winters you go into this dungeon, and it has one of the missable items that 90% of the time when I play Earthbound I make sure to get.
Mm-hmm.
I did let my stream decide whether or not to get it or not, and it's called the Sword of Kings.
I've heard about that.
Yes. The reason why you would want this weapon is because one character in your party cannot equip any weapon in the game besides this one weapon. If you beat this dungeon and you leave, if you beat this dungeon, the enemy that drops that sword cannot be encountered ever in the game. So it's a missable weapon. Yeah. So I asked my stream, like, should I go for it or should I not? And the majority of them said that they wanted me to do it. And I was like, okay, well, I'll put up a poll. And if you guys decide that you don't want me to do it anymore, you just have to outweigh the votes for it. So
yeah,
I started farming it. I must have only farmed for like 30 minutes, which is incredible in terms of actually farming for that sword. And I got it. So that was extremely exciting because that's probably the fastest I've ever gotten a Sword of Kings.
Jeez.
So I beat that game. I've beaten it many, many times before. It's a lot of fun. I like Earthbound. It's probably my game of all time.
Man,
and,
I really need to play that. I should really stream that. I have it on Wii U, so I have a legitimate copy. I should probably stream it at some point.
It is a really good game.
Yeah, I keep hearing it because I keep hearing more and more people playing it for the first time since it's out on Wii U and it's now, legally readily available.
Attainable.
Yeah, and you don't have to drop $250 on just a cartridge.
Right.
And everybody who tries it for the first time, I always hear is like, wow, this is now one of my favorite games.
It's just, it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's kind of lighthearted, and I really like this game, and I like it for people to definitely play this game and then play Mother 3.
Yeah.
Because Mother 3 is an exceptional game.
Yeah.
And you do have to kind of not obtain that one quite legally because it's not available, and it will never be.
I went to go try and buy a Japanese version of it, and it's surprisingly rare there, too. It's I thought it would be more common, but it seems like it had a fairly low print run.
Yeah, the Poor Mother series, probably one of the greatest games ever. Just it's
Largely
unfortunate.
ignored.
It's unfortunate,
Yeah.
especially with the third one. It takes a different turn than the second one, which is Earthbound. Earthbound's pretty lighthearted at the front, and then it gets very dark at the end. Mother 3 starts out really, really, really dark in the front.
Oh wow.
And it kind of has this there's something hovering over you the entire time you play that game, and I won't spoil it for people because half of the amazing part of that game is just that feeling of playing that game with that. I do want to stream Mother 3 as well.
Yeah.
So that was Earthbound, and I beat that, and I was pretty happy about that. The other game I played a little bit of was Tales of Grace's F.
Oh.
Yes, I played a little bit of that.
Is this out on PS3?
Yeah, this was the
Yeah.
PS3 one, and it's the one that came out before Tales of Xillia. Tales of Grace's F is a Tales game that if you are a fan of the Tales series, you have to not take this one very seriously. I kind of make the joke that if you like anime tropes and you can laugh at them, Tales of Grace's F is like your go-to game.
Tales of Anime Tropes F.
That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
It's hilarious because I almost want to take like a checklist out and like of all the anime tropes of all time and sit there and see like how many do we actually fall
your
into?
mother wakes you up at the beginning, but you have amnesia. It's like, oh, I got two at once.
Amnesia. There you go.
Yeah.
We got one. Robot got that one. It's like you just gotta go through the entire list. It's fun. I really like that game. But I think it's because I don't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of Tales fans tend to hate on that one because it's
not as heavy as Vesperia, maybe.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. You've got the I want to save the world, and you've got
oh shucks.
we have amnesia, and I want to. It's just
my best friend is
power
the villain.
of
Oh no.
friendship. Power of friendship will conquer all.
Yeah.
It just gets so silly, but I like it. I didn't beat that. I'm about halfway, maybe a little more than halfway in that game. And then I started to play Tales of Xillia again, which I dropped off like about 5 or 6 podcasts ago. I don't remember. Picked that up, and I beat it today.
Oh,
on
nice.
stream. Yep. So I'm going to throw this down for everybody. If you play Tales of Xillia and you're like, should I play Jude? Should I play Mila? Which character should I play as? Pick Jude.
Yeah. You can play it twice. Play as Melee a second.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I don't want to spoil what happens in the game, but I want to just be like, okay, so like if the game was like 100% mark, I would say if you play Jude, you get 90%. If you play Mila, you get 90%. And the 10% that you're missing on both sides is on the other character's path.
Okay.
So you're missing like 10% of Jude's story when you're on Mila. You're missing 10% of Mila's story when you're on Jude. The question is what 10% are we missing here?
Yeah. How big is that 10%?
Right, because like not all 10% of the games are equal.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like take a favorite book of yours and right at the climax of the story, let's pretend like there's like, we're talking about a 12-chapter book, and I decide to grab 3 chapters of your book right at the climax, rip it out, and hand you back the book.
Yeah.
And so you're playing this book, and you hit like right before the climax, maybe a chapter before, and you come back, and suddenly you're fighting somebody that you have no reason to be fighting, and you're kind of like, what is going on? Why are we all here? What are we doing at this moment? Why are we here in this place? Why am I being thrown here?
Why is
I was
any of
not
this
here.
happening?
Like, you're mind blown. So then when you get to the next place after that fight, I'm sitting there going, still like, my mind's reeling because I'm like, what happened? I was doing this, and then I was suddenly thrown here because the story jumped without giving me a proper, like, this is, like, you need to go here because your friends are here, and you, like, there was nothing that led me into that. It was just suddenly, boom, boom, I'm here, I'm fighting this boss, don't know why I'm fighting this boss, now I'm in this place, why am I in this place, what happened? And then, as if to slap me further in the face, I get a little skit, and if you're familiar with the Tales games, you know what the skits are. They're just
Yeah.
like little face portraits of the characters bouncing their little animations around and talking to you. And they decide to, like, drop, like, I want to say, like, a paragraph of story on me. And this paragraph of story has me going, oh my god, all this happened in the time that I was not there?
Yeah.
All of this? This is like 3 chapters worth of, like, this
That's
feels
so
like 4
much stuff.
hours. This feels like 4 hours of cutscenes.
Yeah.
That is gone from me. And on top of that, I'm wondering, like, because of what happened in this segment, why is this person still with us? Why are we still allowing this person to be here?
So it's like one of those things where it's like, hey, remember when this crazy thing happens? It's like, no, wait, that happened?
No.
What?
And I know on Jude's side you have a little bit of that where you're just like, okay, something must have happened with Mila and suddenly, like, this is happening on our story, okay.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Jude seems to already understand that this thing has happened, or seems to have the knowledge that you as the viewer did not get.
Yeah.
So it's not even like you're in the first person of Jude. You're kind of in like you're like third personing Jude's story without having it all. Like, it's weird. Celia kind of blows my mind with this. But anyways, don't play as Mila because that.
Yeah, plays Mila second.
Really just sounds like you were, you know, Chuck back here in the party poisoned a scout of Girl Scout troops.
And
But I sure
we
am
forgave
excited
him.
for the meal he's cooking tonight.
Yeah, and it's just like,
what? That's
happened?
pretty much what happened, though. It's kind of like that happened, and you're like, this is not acceptable. Why have we not, chopped this person and left them to die somewhere?
Yeah.
Because this was not cool.
Man,
But the game was just like, I'm accepting of this.
Yeah, and we're
Okay.
okay with it now. I really need
Okay.
to hook up my PS3 again so I can play Tales of Xillia. 'Cause it just sounds crazy.
I hope you're playing as Jude.
I did start as Jude, when
Good.
it came out, so I'm gonna probably have to restart. But are you excited about Tales of Xillia 2? I hear it's much better than the first one.
So I bought it, and
Somewhere around here.
my collector's edition is somewhere.
Did it come with some sort of figurine?
It did. It
Yeah.
came with I actually have the figurine right
there it
here.
is.
So if you guys are watching the stream, you can kind of see it. I also have my Mila figurine from the first collector's edition.
There you go.
Yeah, I have no shame
Boy,
here.
that Mila figurine is pretty cool.
It is pretty good, actually. These are pretty decent figurines. I think the Mila one is a little better.
Yeah.
I've
heard Xillia 2 is pretty good. I kind of like the basic storyline that I've heard of you owe like $1 million and your job through the game is to repay that money.
Right.
That's kind of cool.
It came with this little cat.
Great, now
thing.
I have to buy that.
It came with a nice art book. It came with a little cosmetic mirror thing that looks like a old time watch, pocket watch. But it's actually a mirror inside of it, and it came with a music CD, the figurine I showed, the cat plush. It's in a hardbound.
Has some DLC in it.
Game case. It has DLC. If you happen to have bought the Tales of Xillia DLC for like character costumes and stuff, apparently that does carry over into Tales of Xillia
nice.
2. So it's like, that's nice.
I just looked up the price on Amazon though, and I will not be purchasing that collector's edition.
No, it is expensive.
Whoops.
So I look forward to popping that in. From what I've heard, the game is kind of different in the way of, like, if you played Final Fantasy 13 and then you played Final Fantasy 13 2, or if you played Final Fantasy 10 and played Final Fantasy 10 2, Apparently, it's different, like that different.
Oh,
So,
okay. Where it's kind of
I
similar enough, but it's different
yeah,
enough.
yeah. So I'm interested in playing it and seeing how I feel about it because um I don't know yet, but
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. And that's kind of why I actually stopped playing Tales of Grace's F to play Zillia was because I knew I was close-ish to the end,
Yeah.
and I was like, let me just beat it.
It's kind of funny that there's almost too many Tales games out right now. It's
And
this
they're
weird,
working
like,
on
embarrassment of
Zestria.
riches.
They're working on Zestria or something.
Zestria sounds right, yeah.
Something. And I know that they're coming out with 2 Vita ports.
Oh, jeez.
Tales of Hearts R and Tales of Innocence. I don't remember. They're coming out.
Yeah.
I do know that they're not gonna dub those games, so
Oh, well, that's okay. As long as we get them. Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that they're not very highly regarded in the Tales game spectrum.
Yeah.
Kind of like they're not too well liked. So the way they were saying is like, this is what we're gonna do. It's gonna be Vita download only. We're not gonna make a print run of this. We're not actually gonna bother dubbing it because we don't expect sales to be that high, but we're
Yeah.
still gonna bring it over.
Yeah. I can respect
Some-
that.
Well, yeah, I can too. Some people are very upset about it. Like they're like, "Well, don't bring it over at all if you're not gonna."
Well,
And I'm like,
that's certainly not the right
That's-
attitude.
"Look, like we weren't gonna get it at all.
Yeah.
We should probably just accept the fact that this wasn't gonna sell very well, and they know it, so they're bringing it over how they
An
can."
attitude like that means you don't get any Tales games, nevertheless
Right,
the bad
right.
ones.
Right?
Oh,
So
boy.
I'm like, it'll come out, and I'll probably get it when it's cheaper because I'm not too into those 2 games to be honest. But
There will be a
I do-
PSN sale where there'll be like $15.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So that's Tales of Zillia, that's Tales of Graces, that's Danganronpa. Oh, Final Fantasy X too.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the last game I'm going to talk about. I am planning on doing a kind of like I don't want to call it a speed run, but it's going to be basically play Final Fantasy X-2 faster than normal run. It's going to be for a I can't really talk about it too much, but it's going to be fun. So I've been kind of practicing on playing that game Vroom.
Somebody's getting a delivery.
And right now I'm doing 100% completion on the first go around of the game,
Oh,
so that way I
wow.
can have So I'm gonna have a save file for 100% complete to immediately play for that kind of fast run.
Yeah.
I want to call it because I don't want to call it
A
speed run.
speedier run.
A speedier run.
Yeah.
Faster run. I don't know what to call it, but I've been playing that. I love 10-2.
10-2 is great.
I love 10-2.
I hate that people really dislike it. I feel like they were expecting 10 again, and when they got this kind of campy, fun romp, they were just like, this is garbage. It's like, no, okay.
It's good fun.
Yeah, it's a fun RPG. We don't get a lot of those.
We don't. No, we don't. And probably I think that's something that Japan does really well with is that they like things that kind of pop and they're fun and they're not taking themselves very seriously and they're
Yeah.
kind of jokes. And I think they embrace that much better than we do over here.
Yeah.
And so and things like this is kind of proof as to
Yeah.
that happening. So I don't know. I'm having fun with it. I gotta beat it. I gotta do the 100% completion. I've already messed up several times and had to load up an older save because of it being so stringent on your first time around.
Yeah, like you can't skip when Machen talks to you.
Yeah. Oh, I put the controller down.
Yeah, no
I
accidents
walk
are gonna
away-
happen.
I walk away from the computer. I'm like, because I'm playing it on the PS3, but I stream it. So
Yeah.
I put down the controller, walk away,
Not even
go
gonna
do
look at
something
it.
else, get a drink, go to the bathroom, whatever. Like I will come back after when he's asking to shake my hand and
Yeah.
Then I'll pick up the controller because I'm scared of it. Like,
Magnatech in chat asks, so how are those tower calibrations coming along?
so
Not even cool.
if I'm gonna tell you guys about something, it's okay. So the PS3 version of the HD collect whatever edition of this game of 10 and 10.2, um, there are some serious lag input problems.
Yeah, I didn't run into those on mine when I was doing the lightning in 10, but I've heard it's
Dodging.
really bad.
If you play the Vita version and you play the PS3 version, you will see the difference, and it is insane how different it is. Whereas like the PS3 version, it's just kind of like I could not get past 100 when I was doing the lightning dodging.
Yeah.
So when I picked up my Vita and tried it, I got it to 180 on my first attempt. And failed because of my own stupidity.
That's so weird. Like, I don't know I don't know. Maybe there's something weird about my TV that I never ran into that problem with the PS3 version.
It has something to do with the PS3 to your TV to your controller and something happening in between those three.
Yeah, some lag gnomes.
Something.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not just me because it's all over the internet where people are like, this is frustrating. And I'm like, it is frustrating. I feel it.
Please help me.
So, what Magnatech is talking about is the tower calibrations in 10.2 where you have to press a sequence of buttons. And the one that was giving me so much trouble, I streamed for 5 hours straight on a single tower.
Oh, man.
There were people watching me do this tower for 5 hours, by the way, and I am so sorry. Like,
That's
I was
dedication.
so angry.
Man.
I was angry, and I was like, I'm not going to stop until I get this. And then people were like, we're not going to stop watching until you get it. And I'm like, well... I was very frustrated. I ended up having to go to bed, though, because, like, 6 hours of tower calibrations was too much for me.
Yeah, understandably.
It got so bad, I started making Murloc sounds, and the chat was enthused because I was pretty good at making Murloc sounds. When I get frustrated, I kind of gargle and make all sorts of weird noises because I just want to like curse and snap the controller and flip a table, but instead
Murlocs.
Yeah. So that's it. That's all I've played.
Oh man, we already talked a little bit about Divinity, but the majority of the time I've been spending has been with Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition on the PS4. My fiance and I are playing together a little bit here and there. I can kind of tell that she has a little bit of trouble with each story beat being kind of a little too long, and the story in Diablo 3 being kind of a little not great. But we're having a lot of fun, and we're playing on normal. And normal with two people, the game at one point had told her, like, hey, you're doing really well, maybe you should kind of bump this up a little bit, maybe get a little more challenge. But what I like about it on normal is that it's kind of, with two people, it almost kind of turns it into like a beat 'em up game. Like if Final Fight was isometric, it would be Diablo 3. And I'm kind of having fun with that, but I am the majority of the time I'm spending now is trying to platinum it. I have 3 trophies left. I have to do 500 bounties, which is easy. That will just come in time. I have to level all 6 classes up to level 70, which is also just grindy. And the one I'm so close to right now is getting a character level 70 in hardcore. And I am like 65, so I'm so close, and then I can stop stressing out about that playthrough, because there have been recently, between probably about 55 and 65, there have been a couple of really hairy situations that have gotten me where I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta take a break. Oh, that was a very near thing. This is a really great version. I really enjoyed my time with it on 360 as console versions go, and I feel like this is kind of the the version to play if you want to play it on a console. And I hear the Xbox One version is good too. It's smooth. It looks great. It looks a lot better than the 360 version. And they added a whole bunch of stuff into it that I think is really interesting. I haven't had a chance to use the apprentice system, but apparently how it works is if you're high level and someone jumps in your game that's lower level, apparently significantly lower level, it raises them and their gear up to your level.
Oh.
So it just kind of, like, they'll get experience and everything, so they'll still level up, and apparently it kind of scales everything as they get closer to you. But I kind of like that system because power leveling on the PC version was always a little boring, because it was like, alright, we're on Torment 6, and you're level 1. Just stay out of the way for an hour, and you'll be level 70. But now it gives that person, that lower level person, at least something to do and at least a fighting chance.
I like the sound of that system because normally what they do is the reverse.
Exactly.
Where this is like a system that would not make the person who's trying to help out feel like they're taking steps down. So
Right.
both sides are having fun.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of a cool idea. There's one of the other systems they added was this mail system, and every once in a while you'll just pick up a piece of mail that says mail for and then one of your friends' screen names, and when you send it off to them, it just contains a legendary or a set item. Like very infrequently have I gotten a yellow item. Just basically, like, I opened up 4 pieces of mail from my friends the other day. There were 2 set pieces and 2 legendaries, just for free. I don't know what makes them drop, but that's a lot of fun, and I like going into the game and checking my mailbox and just like, here's a bunch of legendaries from, like, some people you don't know and your brother. Awesome. But the feature I like the most is, it's called the Nemesis system. And this is a real horrible, mean thing that I enjoy the most. Basically what happens is every once in a while, a monster that kills you in your game will teleport out of your game and teleport into your friend's game. And what it'll do is every time it does that, it gets stronger. So, like, if it kills you, it and goes into somebody else's game. Normally, it's not a big deal when they show up because your controller rumbles a little bit, and I don't play it with the sound on because it's Diablo 3. But apparently if you do, there's like drums and horns that are coming where it's like this impending doom. Normally it's a challenge because what happens typically is this giant monster who has basically every power of the elites in the game and is just dumping them on the screen. It'll show up and the person that they killed will show up along with them. So typically it's like, oh, he killed my brother, so this thing hopped in and a fully decked out crusader hopped in. Okay, I'm gonna have a little bit of a hard time, but you know, it's typically more challenging than your difficulty, but it's kind of fun because you know when they're coming, so it's like, all right, I gotta clear this whole area, nothing else can bother me. All right, this thing finally landed, you scraped a victory, and then you typically get really good loot. The other day, I was playing with my Demon Hunter, and I am so well geared at this point that I'm just sleepwalking through Torment 1, and the Nemesis warning came up, and I'm like, alright, that's fine, I got this, like, whatever, it's not even a big deal. And this thing came in and had killed 5 of my friends, and it one-shotted me, and then just teleported out. I'm like, oh man, like, if it's this hard, I kind of don't want to see what happens when it comes back around after it kills more of my friends. Thankfully, I've never seen it again, but, you know, I'm not entirely sure what happened from there.
Maybe it broke off and went to one of your friends' friends, and it's on that route.
Yeah, maybe it's just, you know, tearing its way throughout the countryside. I kind of wish that if you've encountered it, you'd get a piece of mail where it's like, look, it killed 13 people before this person killed it, and then here's the gear they got. I'd kind of like to see that. almost like a Nemesis obituary or something. But all these little systems, and it's weird because Blizzard is so they don't want the controller support on the PC, which I can respect because the console versions aren't just controller support, it's also different mob density. There's a lot more enemies in the console version. But some of these systems I kind of wish were in the PC version. Like, I've been playing the PC version a little bit because Season 1 started for the latter, which is really fun, but it's also kind of, when you create a season character, you don't have anything. Like, it's like creating a hardcore character. They totally partition off this character and any of your other season characters. You don't have any of your artisans. None of them are leveled up. You have no gold. Like, it's a brand new, fresh character. And I would be really into that if I hadn't been playing all of these level 1 characters on the PS4 version. But I think stuff like Mail and stuff like the Nemesis system, I hope they port that back into the PC version, because I feel like that gives those games a lot more life, especially the Nemesis system. But it seems like they're not entirely interested in doing that, which I think is kind of a bummer. I think that's missing something that's pretty cool. But I haven't been playing anything other than Diablo 3, so let's take a break. Oh god, it's so hot in here. Oh.
I'm gonna go find some medicine, guys. I'll be back.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh man. I forgot that Tales of Xillia 2 just came out, and I was like, oh man, maybe I'll just buy that. No. I got Destiny coming out. I can't buy anything else.
Yeah.
I wanted to buy one of those limited edition copies of Destiny, and though you can't do that anymore. Oh, well, maybe you can.
Amazon just put up some, apparently.
What comes with the limited edition? Guardian Folio, Field Guide, blah, blah, blah. Oh, it comes with the expansion pass. Star chart. Any cool DLC or anything? I should know this. I work in the industry. I get all of these emails where it's like, hey, is all of this stuff on your website? Nope. Player emblem, ghost casing. Oh, a new ship? Oh, man. Oh. Maybe I'll just buy that. I'm so weak. I just really love limited edition and like collector's edition boxes and stuff. I just like the packaging so much. Oh man. Whoop, that's taking up the screen. Yeah, alright. Let me do that and then cancel my other one. Oh, I have gift cards. Wait, hold on. I'll be right back.
Go get those. Hello, chat. I now rule the chat room. I actually, I don't know what to do now. I rule the chat. I have a Rise figurine. Take a look. She is amazing. I'm actually planning on possibly playing some Persona 4 in the future. I have nothing else to entertain you guys with. Except I am hearing about the cool Diablo 3 stuff kind of makes me want to play Diablo 3 right now. That sounds really good. What did he call the new Diablo 3 thing? Ultimate Evil. That's right. I know. Salt and pepper? They're there. I can maybe try and get them to come up here. Peppa! Peppa! Look at my finger. Come here, Peppa. Come here, Peppa. Alright. I've done so much to get her attention. She deserves something for coming. Peppa! Look. There you go. Okay. This one's the most friendly of my rats. The other one's not so friendly. She doesn't like me. Salt. She is very clearly ignoring me down in the corner. So. Sounds like both are coming back now.
Oh, man. I was not sneezing this bad earlier today.
You're allergic to the podcast. There you go.
I guess
Want another
so.
one? There you go. She loves sunflower seeds. I was trying to entertain the chat while both of you were gone. I was like, look at my pet rat.
Oh, fun.
She's adorable.
I actually thought that was a bird cage. Oh, crap. I need to close the door to this room.
It's always fascinating to watch them, like, open up a sunflower seed. Because she's very methodical about how she does it. She kind of, like, chews around the little rim of it and then pops it open. Look, she wants another. And, like, I've got a medley of, like, of rat treats, but she only really wants a little sunflower seed. Yep, there she goes again. If I give the treat to Salt, she will take it down to a corner and hide and eat it there where I can't watch. So I like watching Peppa eat her treats. Very cute.
Have fun.
Thanks.
Oh, man. Yeah, so did you like the second half of the season of Sword Art Online?
I was instructed very seriously by a lot of people who watched it. They said, as soon as you hit episode, was it 14 or 15? I don't remember. As soon as you hit this episode, stop. Do not go on to the next episode. Don't watch any more of it. End it right there and consider the anime finished. And you will be happier. And I said, okay. And it just so turns out that that was the episode that the game picks up after. I was like, so let me just pretend, even though they said that this isn't canon, I'm just going to pretend that this game is canon. And I'm going to have a better time than if I had watched the anime, apparently.
Yeah, no, they just... It's like they switched writers, and the new writer was like
was not as good.
Well, it's like they were an executive who was like, what is all this? Strong female characters? No, let's stick them in a cage and make them be rescued and, like...
You made positive sir.
There's this
always sounds
male
like a
character
positive
right
change.
here. He's not the one enough yet. We need to make him more the one.
Oh, man.
It really, yeah, it's pretty bad.
Well,
I don't know.
I think what I was told that really made me pretty much not really care to watch the second season is that I think we can say that very safely the characters that are romantically involved together in the first part of the season, like that was pretty like solidified and let's stamp done. Didn't need to add a second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever. And apparently if you continue on like they throw in some sort of love triangle.
Yeah,
But didn't need-
it's kind of, I don't know how much you want to know. It's kind of incesty, honestly.
Yeah,
boy.
I was told that too, and I was like, so they really were just like, we don't like this, and we really want to make it really bad.
Yeah, it just keeps getting
Is that what you're
worse,
telling
man.
me?
Yeah, I don't like the first half of that season. I really, really enjoyed, and there's, in a way, there's probably still hope for a second season, but I don't know. I've heard the premise of the second season they're doing on it, but I haven't actually gone and watched it or anything. I mean, it'll have to hit Netflix before I care, but
I'm pretty good where I'm at. I'm pretty good with what I've seen.
it's a nice, complete story, just ending where you
It
ended.
is. Where I ended, I felt like, you could that's perfect. It was all really good. I enjoyed it. The ending was really, really sweet to me. And they made it very, very realistic because I know, like, looking at how that character looked at the ending, if you remember it, I remember thinking that's probably how that would be, actually. So
Yeah,
without spoiling it.
probably needed a couple extra tubes, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right, you guys ready to? Excuse me. You guys ready to do the second segment here?
Yep, you got your gift cards?
My order has been placed and canceled my other order, so we are good. Oh, boy. All right, let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk about RPG releases for September 2014. Already out, Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair for the Vita. I hear it's pretty great. And Warframe for the Xbox One.
woo!
I've also heard that's pretty good. The game we were talking about during the break here, Destiny, coming out for 360, PS3, Xbox One, and PS4, coming out on the 9th. If you purchased it on last-gen platforms, there's some crazy deal that Bungie is including here where you can upgrade to the current-gen ones for free or something. You might want to go check that out if that applies to you.
And you can preload already, too.
Yes, and if you bought it digitally, and if you're not like me and you don't like shiny boxes, and you pre-order digitally, you should be able to pre-order it or preload it now, which is pretty great. Fable Anniversary coming out on the PC on the 12th. I think it's already been out on 360 for a while. That's really just a kind of a remaster / remake of the first Fable game. I don't think they really changed too much. I think they just kind of up-resed it and kind of fixed a lot of bugs. So, Theater Rhythm, Final Fantasy Curtain Call comes out for the 3DS on the 16th. That game has about a bajillion songs in it.
It's like 210.
Yeah, it's a lot, and I'm sure they'll have DLC for it too. I know they even have music from Final Fantasy Type 0 in it, so I mean they put music from pretty much everything that even tangentially has a Final Fantasy name on it. So that should be pretty good. That first game was really good, and I think they're adding a quest mode on this one, so super excited for that. Shadowrun Dragonfall Director's Cut coming out on the PC on the 18th.
Do you know much about this one?
I do not. I was just about to ask you.
Yeah, they've been kind of hyping it up and sending these written blogs on it. Basically, they have upgraded and added so much to the game that they can't even you can't download it as an add-on for the current Shadowrun. It's actually going to be a complete separate piece of software. One of the big things they're adding is a bunch of side quests for all the really excellently written characters in the game. Like Dragonfall by itself was probably a good, 10 hours or so gameplay. So the idea that this last year they've been working on this, like I wouldn't be surprised if this thing went to 20 or 30 hours.
Oh, wow.
and they had a lot of interesting story threads they could follow up on, and they're giving you a lot more jobs that could kind of color consequences or kind of color your character's moral stance on things. So, and it's free to people who backed or...
Oh, even better.
I know it's free to backers. I'm not 100% sure if it's free to people who already own Dragonfall or not. I think it is, but I could be wrong.
It might be one of those things where it's like only $5 on Steam or something.
Yeah. So, but if you don't own Shadowrun yet, then this would be the version to get.
Yeah. Next day, Wasteland 2 for PC and OS X comes out. That's the 19th. I know a lot of people are super pumped about that. I'll probably have to check that out.
Yeah, I backed it, so I'm ready.
Yeah, ready and waiting. Fairy Fencer F comes out for the PS3 on the 23rd. I know nothing about that one.
I actually looked up a bit about it. It is a turn-based RPG made by NIS, and it looks like an NIS game.
Yeah.
Very fan servicey, very. It looks interesting. I don't know if I want it yet or not, but yeah, turn-based RPG. That's about much I can tell you right now.
It's an NIS game, so you kind of know what you're getting.
Yep.
Coming out on the 30th, Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor for PS4, PS3, and 360, which seems to be an RPG so far? Question mark. I know a lot of people are really excited about that, but I don't know a ton about that. So I've been doing all my research on Dragon Age Inquisition. So.
Oh yeah, I thought it was supposed to be like Assassin's Creed, Lord of the Rings, or something.
Oh well, that'd be okay too. And last but not least, certainly Persona 4 Arena Ultimax coming out for PS3 and 360 on the 30th. I will get that, and I will probably play a little bit of story mode and then never touch it again, because I am terrible.
So how creepy would it be if I blew up that Teddy blow-up thing and just put it behind me?
That'd be awesome.
On the next podcast.
Oh, that'd be the best.
Do that.
Yeah.
Do that.
All right, let's move on to news stories. BioWare announces multiplayer for Dragon Age Inquisition, and Musum is in trouble because it's pretty much Mass Effect 3's multiplayer.
Oh, man.
Why, God, why? The cool thing about this is they actually tie some of it in the story mode where, unlike Mass Effect 3 where you're just kind of playing random people, you get to play as the Inquisitor's lieutenants from the main game after you've unlocked them. So sort of as you progress through the main game and you pick up more party members, you then unlock them for the multiplayer. So that's pretty cool. Another game that didn't really need multiplayer, but if it's as good as it was in Mass Effect 3, that's probably going to be pretty okay.
Yeah. Well, and I'll be curious, too, because it's not very often you get a like medieval-style multiplayer game that's not so dumbed down like a Gauntlet or something like that, you know?
Yeah. Much more importantly, Atlas released a semi-proper trailer for Persona 5. It's mainly cutscene based, primarily focused on what I'm assuming is the main character. And it announces that they're delaying it sort of fully to 2015 in Japan, but it's also coming out on PS4 alongside the PS3 version, so yay!
Freaking awesome news.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy about that. I know a lot of people have told me, they're like, man, I don't want to get a PS3, and so hearing this news, it's like, yes!
Yeah.
You don't have to get it now.
Yeah, I think especially if they were going to delay it, I think a PS3 game launching in 2015 probably would not have done very well for them. So it's a pretty understandable move.
I'm just, unless the Vita TV like works with a PS3 for streaming too, then I have no interest in getting anything else for PS3 ever again.
Does it work with that? I know the Vita can stream PS3.
I know it can stream. I know it can stream PS4
and PS3 remote play if the game supports it. So, but I don't.
That is a good point. So it should theoretically work. So it's just going to be a matter of can it be registered to both systems?
Yeah. Yeah, or how does the thing work in the first place? I got one pre-ordered, so we'll find out. But
yeah, me too.
I did too.
Yeah, because I have a problem with hardware.
All three of us have a problem.
Yeah.
But when it's $100 and you have more than one TV in your place that you're living,
Oh,
like
yeah. And it
the
plays
prospect,
Vita games, like, that's
Yeah.
a no-brainer.
Persona 4 on a 40-inch? Yes, please.
Yeah.
I think that's why we all did.
I'd like to play Persona 4 again. Oh, man. But I think I might go into Media Blackout for Persona 5 now.
I'm already there. I've already told people that if I see something on my Twitter feed, if I get a text, if I get anything from you and it's Persona 5 related, prepare yourself to be blocked.
Yeah, I will fly out there and I will murder you.
Like, I can't risk it. So
Yeah, I can't take it.
Really, the only question we need answered is what's the most expensive version? Can we pre-order and when does
Yeah,
it come
when
out?
can I get it? And how much does it cost? I should start saving now. All right, well, on the announcement train here, Square Enix announced Dragon Quest Heroes, which, oddly enough, looks to be like a Dragon Quest-themed Dynasty Warriors game. So that's kind of weird after, Legends of Hyrule? Hyrule Warriors?
Hyrule Warriors.
Hyrule
Yeah.
Ninjas. This is kind of an okay, I think, branch for Dynasty Warriors to go out. It's like, you want to beat up a lot of stuff, and we don't make 99 Nights anymore? How about these themed ones? That seems alright. Oh. Nintendo announces a new 3DS and 3DS XL. I'm sure you've heard a lot about this over the last probably week or so since Nintendo announced it, so we're not really going to talk too much about it, except for there's a 3DS port that only works on the new 3DS and 3DS XL of Xenoblade Chronicles. Yay! Maybe people can actually play this, because
Yeah,
it's
I'll be picking
so
that up.
good. It's unfortunate that you have to pick up a new 3DS to play it, but I think it's kind
Honestly,
of worth it.
I have the original size 3DS, so I'm looking for a new 3DS.
Oh man,
to
the
get.
XL is so nice.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Give me an XL that's Xenoblade Chronicles themed. Sure. Here's how much do those things cost? $200? I can spend that.
Yeah, I think the new XL is going to be 180. So,
Yeah. So that's probably about like if they do a game package with Xenoblade, then that would be
that'd be great.
the price point.
I'd pick up one of those in a heartbeat. Xenoblade Chronicles is so good, and I really burnt myself out on doing side quests and never finished that game.
I think the best way to go about that is do as many as you want, but don't do them all, because I've been told that if you were to do everything in the game, including all the side quests, it's like 160 hours minimum.
Yeah, easy. Yeah.
Wow.
Even with teleporting around.
Yep.
So they're like, do as much as you want, but when you're like, this is enough,
Yeah, just
Dude,
move
stop.
on. Yeah.
because
But there's so many.
Well,
Oh,
and
man.
here's another question: is the 3DS, the new 3DS, going to be more powerful than the Wii? And
Yeah, I don't know.
what enhancements will it bring to this new game?
Well, it has more. It has a better processor and more RAM than the previous 3DS. And I've seen screenshots of Xenoblade for 3DS, and it looks pretty much the same. I don't think there's any video footage of it right now. But I expect it to run pretty well on 3DS. I think when you look at what the 3DS can do, I don't think it probably won't look as good as it did on the Wii, maybe, because it looked really great on the Wii. But it's my thing is it's just so hard to find that another version of it. Just snag that thing right up as soon as it comes out, and hopefully they'll make enough for everyone this time.
Hopefully, it'll be available digitally, so it won't even matter.
Oh, you're right.
Probably what they should do.
Good point, man. Next up, Obsidian acquires the Pathfinder license. I don't know much about Pathfinder, but the internet blew up when this happened. Seemed to explode with joy and not anger, so I'm assuming that's a good thing. They did announce that they are going to start out... The very first thing they're going to do is make a mobile/tablet version of the Pathfinder Adventure card game, which apparently a lot of Pathfinder Adventure fans were rejoicing, saying that, like, hey, this is the thing the card game needed because it's kind of hard to run and manage. And then apparently the next thing they'll do is kind of a big, proper Pathfinder, sort of traditional Pathfinder game. So, yay, Obsidian, keep making great things. You're doing a good job. BioWare announces a 4 versus 1 online RPG called Shadow Realms, which I feel like I still don't entirely know what the heck this thing is. Do either of you know more?
There are a lot of questions I have about it, because I got the email and I signed up to be considered to be put in the beta. Because I figure it can go one of two directions. Like, one direction could be it winds up just being Evolve, but kind of more D&D-ish.
Fantasy Evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other direction is you have your 4 players, and the other player who is trying to kill you is also the game master. So then you have this evolving story and evolving thing that happens, which could be like amazing and mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is too.
That's what I want it to be, but I'm cynical and pessimistic.
Because it can't be that good.
Like, if it is that, then I'm going to have to, 5 people, including myself, to regularly convene on a weekly basis to do this.
Yeah. Man, that'd be great.
Which could prove difficult.
Yeah.
Like, on Borderlands 2, I was lucky to get 3 players, and now I got to find 5?
Yeah, jeez. Well, I think as news stories come out on this, we'll probably keep a close eye on it and talk about it on the show, because it sounds like it could be really promising if they could kind of get it right. And the last news story here we have is Atlas announces Etrian Odyssey 2 remake for 3DS. That helicopter is really excited about it. I don't know what the name is, but basically they're taking Etrian Odyssey 2 and smushing it into the Etrian Odyssey 4 engine, sort of like how they did the Millennium Girl.
Yeah.
So that's probably good, because the Etrian Odyssey games are really great. And they're not entirely hard to find, the DS versions, but it's nice to see that they're kind of continuing to give them new coats of paint. That's never a bad thing. All right, let's move on to tweets and emails. We actually don't have any tweets. It does not look like it. All right, so let's move on to emails here. Get an email from Blake, a.k.a. PKS Sauce. He says, so what happened? I think he's specifically talking to me. Back in May, you teased us about doing the side quest for Final Fantasy X, like getting the Celestial Weapons. Any update? Did you finish the game? Where's Final Fantasy X-2 at? I'm working on getting these Celestial Weapons myself, then getting Anima. Need to fight Dark Shiva to get Destruction Sphere. Any tips? I actually accidentally ran into Dark Ixion, and he beat me fast. So for me, the thing that broke me was the Remium Temple Chocobo race, where you have to get all those treasure chests.
You didn't get that?
Nope. I tried for way longer than I should. I was watching all these YouTube videos, I was reading all these guides, and I just couldn't do it, and it broke me. I did beat Dark Ixion before I gave up. I did get Anima. I had got most of the Celestial Weapons. I don't think I got Kamari's yet, but I just hadn't done it yet. Yeah, I would like to go back to that, but I never even finished the game, because I was just like, oh, before I do that, I'll go do all this other side stuff. Whoops.
I finished it, but you won't see it in my trophy list, because there is an ending trophy that you get while maybe after the final cutscene or something like that, and my PS3 disc skips.
Oh, right.
Right in the middle of the cutscene where the thing's happening and spoilers, and it hangs up right there, and I've tried it 3 times and it doesn't work. So I need to load that up on my Vita and just beat it so I can get the trophy that says you beat the game.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But I got all my Celestial Weapons, and I did manage to beat that Chocobo race. I want to say it took me a good 30 tries. Magnatech was there to see that happen.
Yeah, I just couldn't get it together. I don't know what was going on. Maybe I've taken a long enough break that It's just that chocobo drives so crazy
It
that it's
does.
nearly
No.
impossible to get regularly.
You have to really master the ability of keeping your chocobo from bouncing against the walls, or at
Yeah.
least do the minimum bounce on the walls as possible. Like there's a certain amount of bouncing you can perform. Like I've seen people do it, but I just kept doing it over and over and over and trying to get better at it. You've probably looked up the guide as to which path you need to go, right?
Yeah, I was watching all these YouTube videos of people like, yeah, it's super easy, and they were beating the other guy by like 5 seconds, and I'm just like, oh, you're
I
horrible.
seriously think it's the PS3 input lag there as well.
Oh, it
'Cause
might be.
I
Maybe I'll pick it up for Vita and try
I
that
tried it
out.
on my Vita and it was so much easier. Everything is so much easier
PS3,
on the
man.
Vita. It kills me.
Killing me, guys.
But
Oh, maybe
yeah,
I'll try that someday. That's a good Vita game, especially for the rest of the grinding that I have to do.
it is.
Yeah, maybe.
That's pretty. I actually whenever I was done streaming it, like I do the main story beats on the PS3, and then I port it over to the Vita to do the grinding because the load times are faster. Like so, getting in and out of combat, switching characters around, everything's like you cut off like 2-3 seconds here, then 4 seconds there, and it's
Yeah.
just like you start seeing how much time you're saving
Yeah.
by
All right, well, maybe I'll give that a shot.
yeah.
Next email is from Addison, aka the Floydage. Hey, all, sorry I haven't written in a while. Keep meaning to, but somehow these months keep slipping by. Tell me about it. Mina has actually been on the show for over a year now. I just realized that the other day. So this show has been on the air for a couple of years now, which is crazy. We're episode 38, so 3 years. Wow. That's nuts.
That is nuts.
So we of all people totally understand. He says, anyways, I'm trying to get my wife, we've been married for just over a year now, congratulations, to play more video games and especially RPGs. I've tried some of the classics that got me hooked on RPGs, but so far Ni no Kuni is the only one that she's stuck with and will play on her own. So I was wondering if there are any RPGs like Ni no Kuni that you would recommend we try. Thanks for the great podcast. Keep up the good fight. Boy, Ni no Kuni is it's surprising that she enjoys that because most people are like, yeah, it's really good, but I'm totally sick of it. I feel like I'm the only person that finished that game.
Oh,
Yeah,
I beat it too.
Yeah. I
I need to go back to it.
I even got the special, without spoiling it, the special vehicle for the overworld by beating that one special boss. Oh boy,
Well-
if you have a PS2, I feel like maybe Rogue Galaxy would be good. I always kind of liked that game. I feel like if you like Ni no Kuni, it's made by the same developers. So, and there's a really cool crafting system in it where you like take an item and then you smush regular items onto it. What else would be good? I would say, man, if it weren't for that wolf boss, I would say Tales of Vesperia. Man.
See, I'm taken from this, like, she probably likes the art style from Studio Ghibli,
Yeah.
which we're not going to get in another game, but we can get a lot of really fantastic anime art styles out of things.
Yeah.
And if she wants something either medieval or where you have creatures that you're capturing and, having fight for you, then, obviously put the Pokemons. which I've
Sure,
never
yeah, those
played,
games are
but-
outstanding.
Yeah. And then, of course, by default, Persona 4.
Yeah, actually Persona 4 is a really good suggestion because I don't know if I've run
When is Persona 4 not a really good suggestion?
That's true. What sort of oil should I use for my car? Probably like Persona 4 Golden.
Persona 4 is the taco of the gaming
Yeah.
world.
I feel like I've never run into an opinion, either in person or online, where someone's like, yeah, I didn't really like Persona 4. Yeah.
I'm sure they exist, and saying this might actually make them pipe up. So please don't pipe up and let
Yeah.
us live in our illusion. But,
Yeah.
If you happen to have a DS, one of the RPGs that I've tried to recommend to people is Rune Factory 4
Oh, yeah.
because you can kind of adjust that to like the difficulty level that you want. It does actually have the monster capturing thing. So if that's what she really likes about Ni no Kuni, it does have that. It has, and you can actually customize a female character and actually kind of fine tunes the way the characters talk to you more. Like, you're not stuck in just the male protagonist. So, and it's a pretty good game overall, and it's easy because you can change the difficulty at any point in time you feel in the game. So if she wants to start out like really easy, you can have it real easy. And it's got so much in it that you can kind of cut and get what you want out of it. Like if she likes Harvest Moon sort of games, maybe like a farming simulation, you can totally have a farming simulation. And if you want like a monster battling sort of game, you can have that. It's really cool, and I suggest it to people who are trying to get into RPGs. It does have a lot of content though, so just make sure that the person isn't overwhelmed with like you have to do everything. Just let them do what they want to do, and don't kind of hardline them into you have to do this to advance the story. And what's also really nice about it that even though there's a story and it's kind of wanting you to advance the story, you could spend 2 years in the game and not progress the story, and the game's not gonna slap you around for it or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good suggestion.
So here's one that's probably borderline RPG, and it's old, and it's not the most mind-blowing game, but when Ni no Kuni came out, the gameplay of it actually reminded me a bit of it, and it's called Folklore.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That
one of the
PS3
original
launch title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, kind of what you do in that game is you go to the world of the Fae and collect fairies, and you equip the different fairies to your buttons, and they do specific attacks. And there is some sort of leveling system in it. I don't remember how it works. It's been too long.
Either. It has a really unique art style, really great music. Yeah.
And honestly, you can probably find it for $5, and even if you don't beat it, you can probably still get 5 or 10 hours of it and be like, yeah, that wasn't bad. I don't regret that.
Yeah.
But it's not going to blow your mind. But it's kind of a neat game. Susie, my wife, was really obsessed with it for a while, but she got too caught up in the grinding parts of it and burned herself out.
Yeah.
But there's 2 characters, too, that you can play anytime you want. And one's a guy and one's a girl, so that's nice, too.
Yeah. I was just thinking that probably, if you're really curious, I think Musum and I gave a lot of starter RPG suggestions in PUP episode 1 or 2, I think it was. It was very, very early on. So there's probably a number of good suggestions in there, too. I wish I remembered what they were. Otherwise, I would recommend them all over again, but I don't recall. Any last-minute recommendations? I think that's a lot of games already. Play
that
Persona
is a
4.
lot.
You know, if you got a PSP,
That's a
Persona
safe
3
bet.
Portable, you know, they're both good.
You can get it digitally for probably $10 on a sale.
Yeah, Atlas seems to always be under a sale now lately, so
Yeah.
yeah. But that's all the emails we have for this episode. Thank you very much for listening. You can visit us at pickingupthepixels.com. You can email us at fans@pickingupthepixels.com. You can tweet us at pickinguppixels. And everything else is on the right-hand side of the page. Musum, where can we find you at nowadays?
You can purchase my music at musum.bandcamp.com. Or if you want to hear kind of the latest sounds I've been coming up with, you can look up my SoundCloud, and I'm just Musum under there.
There you go. And Mina, how about you?
Before I go and do my spiel, Sonoma in chat brings up a good point on a good starter RPG, Bravely Default.
Yeah. That's a good pick.
It's a good starter.
Yeah.
It will teach you a lot of the basics, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
So I'm no longer on Twitch. You will find me on hitbox.tv/Risette, RISETTE. Let me say that again because I know that's new to everybody. It's hitbox.tv/RISETTE. And
If
that's
you
it.
played Persona 4, you already got that down.
You already got it.
All right, and you can find the rest of my shows at e1m1.com or tvgp.tv. Thank you very much for joining me again, Musim and Mina.
Pleasure as always.
Thank you.
And our adventure continues next month. Bye. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for watching us live. Always appreciate it. Thank you, Sonoma, for linking that in the chat. And we'll see you next month. Adios.